So, well, first of all, he proposed 3 days after my brain tumor diagnosis, which there are theories out there that he proposed because he knew I was going to die or thought I might die.
Let me guess. Is that what her mom says?
She told me, she said,
day. And I love her. I love her. She's always, when I first met her, when she came from Bolivia, she called me an angel. It was really sweet.
Really is. He really, because she had seen all it, because I always dated the bad boys. I'm like,
right.
I'm like,
he was the angel.
Any guys that ever, like, especially in the world, they're like, hey, could I take you out on a date? I'm like, no. But if like another bad boy came up, was like, girl, come on, let's go. I'm like, woo, if I see trouble, I'm like, I'm there. Trouble is my middle name and my last name too.
And let me say this, like a lot of things that I wrote in my journal on who I wanted to marry one day, I never found her. And then I found her and she had she was so different. And we are very opposite in a lot of ways.
Very opposite.
Very.
Yeah.
But
completely opposite.
We found how God designed us. Like we
together.
Fit and we work with his spirit. We do. Without, we can't.
Oh, no way. Like he passionately, and that was how it started, is like, we're passionately in love with Jesus. And it would take a person like me to have someone who was passionate more passionately in love with Jesus to keep us together.
And I received a word there while we were saying that, is a crucifixion of the flesh. And we joke and laugh about a lot of that. But actually, when I heard it, it was very loving word, because it's very much what happened to us. Yeah, well, we changed.
When you married me, you got up on that. You got up on that cross.
Yeah.
He didn't know that.
I'll go first.
We're gonna get married. Ryan's about to get crucified. He was getting his back up on that cross. Yes. He didn't know it though. It's okay. It's God knew. And
I really am grateful.
So we'll fast forward. And
sorry.
So no, it's good.
No, it's good.
Like, so you had told me this vision, because we had gotten into this fight, and you got to remember, I was fresh out the world, so my spirit was saved. I love Jesus, but my mind was still
wasn't
in the world, very much in the world, you know. So he came to me, said, Cristina, I need to talk to you. I had a vision. The Lord showed me a vision in worship. It was right after church, and we were like probably a couple weeks away from like getting married. And you said, the Lord showed me this one side. It was like this really winding, dark road. And then another road that was really like, it was like a straight road, and it was like full of light. And I said, what are you trying to tell me here? And he was like, I think we need to wait and do some more counseling. I was like, I was like, no, brother.
I think we did 2 pre-counseling sessions.
I was like, no.
And we were engaged already.
We were toward early 20s, you know, we're just like, and I was like, I was like, I'm not waiting. And if you want to wait, you can go wait somewhere else for somebody else, because I ain't doing that, brother. So I was in full ghetto mode at that point. I told you, I said, now or never. And you were like, okay, now. Boy, you know, we tell people all the time, because that vision came to pass. I mean, a lot of people go into their marriages like, they go into their marriages. I mean, some of our friends were getting married, and they were honeymooning, and you know, and it was like we went into hell for 5 years. It was like,
and it started
a long time.
I mean, it was just, it was so, you know, again, and not everybody goes through this. We have close friends of ours that married around the time that we did. And some of them aren't together, but some of them are, and they had different journeys, because they really, they didn't have a past, you know, they didn't, I came in with the past. Ryan came in just, you know, just something that
an angel, according to your mom.
And according to many others too.
I've had to work through some stuff.
Oh, I'm sure you have. Yeah. So I actually want to stop here really quick though, before you guys go on. Do you feel like if you had heeded that warning from the Lord, if you had waited, and you don't know how long that time period would have been, it could have been 6 months, it could have been a year longer,
couple years,
but it's not what I find with the Lord is it's not a direct, okay, hard times, 5 years. That means we should have waited 5 years. God has a way of expediting stuff where he's after something specific in your heart, however long that takes or however little long that takes. You know, do you feel like if you had waited, you would have been spared from a lot of, you know, the hardship? I know it seems like I think I know the answer, but
it's a great question.
That's good.
Do you want me to say something then?
Yeah.
I looking back on that now, because I looked back on that so many times and thought, wow, he gave that vision to Ryan as a man and as a leader, leading the relationship, where he was presenting us with a choice. And I believe when God gives and shows two paths, it's kind of like, do you want to take the 11-day journey or do you want to take the 40-year journey? That could have meant a few months of just like, hey, just take a step back. But because of the way I used to be at 20, 23 years old, 22 years, just at that age, in that age, it was like, the way I used to be, which you remember, it was like, it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
And I learned, now, and Ryan can tell when Ryan says something now after all these years, his word in our home is law. Like when Ryan says we're going to do this now, this is after all, like 2 rocks being just, smoothed out over so many years. I so respect and heed to the voice of God through Ryan because of all the hard times we've been through. But try to tell that to a girl who was an atheist most of my life and had to have control over everything.
Right.
And then coming to a place where, like, when your husband is saying, I believe the Lord is saying this, it's the Lord, it's not just your husband, right? And so going back, had I known everything I know now, I would have taken a step back and gone, what's a year? What's 2 years? Like, what's 5 years? Like, if God is showing you something, let's go with that. But that's after that's blood, sweat, and tears and hurt and pain and things that I think that the Lord really did not. I believe the Lord does desire for us to take that 11-year journey. Is that
the 11-day?
11-day. I'm sorry, 11-day journey.
Yeah.
No, and he'll get you there.
Yeah.
I know for a fact from experience, he will get you back there. It's just it's just like a dad saying to their child, their son, saying, you can make this easy. You don't have to learn that hard way. You can learn a better way. Yeah. And you don't have to have the experience of the heartache. And
come on.
And does it always carry with you? It doesn't mean that you'll always have to have that pain, like something that triggers you.
Right.
People can get healed from that, but you end up having to go through a deliverance process for that.
Yeah.
And there are things that we didn't have to go through. And I like what you said. Like, it didn't mean years. It could have actually been a few months. We were one of our pastors that's there was pastoral care. We loved him. Everyone, he loved him. Keith Sistrunk. And he really encouraged us and was just always encouraging. We saw him years and years later and just gave us a hug and talked. And his daughter's all grown now, worship leader there at the church. But like, there's a love in a lot of those people that you want to heed to. You want to heed to that because a lot of those people have seen that road already.
Yeah.
They've seen that road over and over, people they've counseled and people that they've loved.
They see the warning signs.
They see the warning signs. Yeah. And so it's so worth it. It's so worth it because would we have ended up together and taken that road? I believe so, because the vision he gave me was 2 roads. It was with the same person.
Yeah. Well, it's so like God to give you that choice, right? Like he knows the best option, but he wants you to be able to choose. And it's such love that he gives us that foresight, and like we don't know all the details, but we can feel it inside and we can see it when he gives us visions or dreams or however he speaks to us. And it's like, you can look back on it and you can say, how how much he's loved you then and through it all. Despite making those choices, he still blessed your marriage.
Yeah. Right.
And it was painful.
Yeah.
It was painful. He didn't want you to go through that pain, but he still blessed your covenant, you know, and no matter how many mistakes, you know, that are made in that covenant, like, it's like God is for marriage so much you know,
So
that he prepares us ahead of time, like he did with you guys, because he wants the success. He wants you guys to not go through so much pain in the midst of it. But in the pain, he is so good, you know.